This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. New Brunswick, a place my guests just learned about. Actually, everybody just learned about it. Nobody knows where we are. I'm convinced when the Ultimate Warrior was billed from parts unknown when he ran to the wrestling ring, I swear he must have been from New Brunswick. The only place I could think of is parts unknown. I should start putting that on my address.
Right.
Such and such, parts unknown. Mm-hmm. Sweet, can't find him. Folks, we just had a Friday the 13th.
We did.
And right now it's May 23rd, so we're like 10 days late. But you know what? We can celebrate regardless. I got my Friday the 13th t-shirt on here. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a little Friday the 13th. And I got a final chapter one here too. So
great.
Yeah, perfect. I didn't have yours a t-shirt, not where I live, but that doesn't mean I can't find it. Folks, my absolutely gorgeous guest is in the reboot, if we may. I like to classify it as a sequel, but I'll get to that momentarily.
Okay.
I'll get to that. And thanks to Scotty McCoy training me, I now know how to pronounce her name. She's the woman in the sleeping bag, doing more than roast marshmallows. Something else is catching fire.
Yeah.
Folks, I give you the absolutely stunning America Olivio.
Yeah, very good. Very close. Yeah, America Olivio. Good.
Oh, good. I told you I was going to screw it up the second time.
No, man, that was really good. You nailed it the first time, and you really good the second time. And you know what? That's awesome. It's better than most people I know and who are my good friends can do. My name is all vowels. It should be one of those mouthing exercises you do in voice class or something, because it's really hard to say.
Well, because on paper it looks like America Olivio, you know.
Yeah.
And when Scotty McCoy's been on here 6 times on my show.
Wow. Okay.
And he was the one that suggested you, and he was the one that told me your name is America, and I'm like, that actually sounds really cool, to be frank. It does. Thanks. You know, but yeah, Scotty said that he started doing podcasting because of me, and I'm like, I've never inspired anybody before, but Scotty's doing very well. So
excellent. Yep.
Yeah. So here you are. You're my first from the what they call the reboot.
Right.
And I had said that I look at this more as a sequel than I do a reboot.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what I mean by that, because first off, had this movie been done at Paramount, I would have loved it if they used took the opener and used the footage of Betsy Palmer and Adrienne King on the beach. You know, I would have preferred that for the that little dream or opening with the mom. But not that I got anything against how they filmed it, but I probably would have went that route. And but here's the interesting thing. There's a point in that film. I love the fact they opened with Sackhead Jason from part 2, you know, because that was the first one I had saw when I was young. And by the way,
really,
I have a story about that.
Okay.
I saw Friday the 13th part 2 as a budding young teen. I knew nothing about girls, and my cousins baited me into watching it.
Oh.
And
how old? How young? You were 14?
Oh, I must have been, well, I would have been 9 years old in 1981 when the film came out. So I would have been like 11, 12. when I saw that for the first time, and
Okay.
I was petrified of horror films at the time. But this film, I remember this viewing very well because Kirsten Baker became the first woman I ever seen naked. And that was the theme where Mom came in and turned the television off. I was like, hey, I'm learning here.
Not now, Mom, not now.
This is biology class. I need to know this.
Exactly. Oh.
But
oh goodness.
Yeah. So Jason was Sackhead in that, and Sackhead has become increasingly more popular too in recent years. So they opened with him as Sackhead, but here's my theory. This is why I say I could look at this as a sequel. Here's my theory.
Yeah.
You could take Jason Takes Manhattan, or Jason Goes to Hell, or can't say the space one, that's way too far in the future, but you could take them and the mask gets damaged.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and maybe he loses it in the sewer or loses it in hell. Maybe one of those dirt demons decides to go cosplaying. Who knows? What would he go back to when he went back to Crystal Lake? Sackhead, because it's simple.
Yep.
A rag, couple eye holes, and wrap it around your head.
Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
When he kills that guy that has that hockey mask, he goes to because he knocks the rag off his head. Mm-hmm. When he goes to retrieve the rag, it's like he almost does a double take when he sees the hockey mask. I kind of noticed that, and maybe it's just my interpretation, but it's like, hey, let's go back to this.
Interesting. Well, you could talk to Derek, about what he was thinking.
Kind of how I looked at it.
Okay.
But I gotta say, the best part of that reboot of sorts was that big opening section before the credits that you're in.
It's fun. Yay!
Yeah.
False start, right?
I gotta say, that really got my juices flowing when I saw this in the theater. So, and I've seen about half the franchise in the theater. So, but nice. Yeah, but I'm going to assume that you're completely boycotting sleeping bags from here on in the rest of your life, right?
That's an interesting thing. I don't know if I've been. I haven't put that in the. I haven't put that together. Have I been in a sleeping bag since? Maybe not zipped. Yeah, no. It was really fun when I got the invite to do this role, because before this I hadn't really been a victim, if I remember correctly. I was priding myself on having been a survivor or even the killer in the films that I'd done. So this was the first time that I was going to break the streak. And when I found out the way that I was going to be killed, I thought it was actually a good way to break the streak of surviving. This is if you're going to die, this is a good one. This was fun. It was fun to shoot, and it was fun to watch, and it comes across a lot of people when I meet them who are fans of the film. They seem to have enjoyed it as well. That it pays homage to the original sleeping bag kill, yet takes it to the next.
Yeah, from part 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So it was fun. Well, it was really cool. Yeah.
Sleeping bags aren't the problem. It's sleeping bags combined with fire. That's the problem.
It is. And just being in the wrong campsite and then showing your boobs. You're not supposed to do that because you always get killed.
Not always.
Oh, really?
Wait, yeah. Nobody's ever brought this up.
Oh.
I'm going to bring this up now.
Okay.
I went earlier this year. I saw X 4 times in the theater. And the survivor of that does
Oh,
drugs, shows her boobs, has sex. She does it all.
yes. Times are changing. Oh,
Yep, the survivor of that breaks all the rules.
I haven't seen this. I have to see this.
I loved it. It's set.
Really? Okay, I'm going to put it in my watch list right now.
It's set in 1979, and it looks like it was made then. And it's like
Okay.
it's like Boogie Nights meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh. Okay,
Yeah,
I got it. Okay.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm waiting for it. I ordered the Blu-ray, pre-ordered it. So,
All right.
but I sat there upon watching. I was like, nobody has brought that part up, at least not to my knowledge, that the survivor of this movie broke all the tropes.
They knew. They knew that though, right? I mean, they had
I bet
to.
you they did.
Yeah.
I bet they did. But it's just funny that way. So next time you do a horror film, I suggest you talk to Mia Goth and find out how it's done.
Oh, that's who was the actor.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, wait. Got it. Yes, I will find out. How do you survive after you've done all the wrong things?
Yeah, because she could write the book on it.
Got it. Mia Goth. Oh, here she is. I didn't know.
I'll tell you one thing. She plays two roles in the movie because she plays the elderly woman in it as well, which I did not know until I saw it in the credits.
No way. Oh, she's that good, huh?
No, she does a great job. You got Jenna Ortega in that. You got Brittany Snow. Yeah. You got some great people. I'm seeing
this now.
Oh yeah.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
And then you could see then you could see all the rules broken. And then you could throw your hands up and say, "Why didn't I survive this?"
No, do over. Let's reboot the reboot. Yeah, I don't get to see a lot of adult films anymore because I have a daughter and she hijacks the remote and we watch a lot of anime.
You know what? I don't watch anime, but I have gone to the theater to watch some of the anime movies.
Yeah, that's
it. And they're really good. Belle, I remember particularly, was really good.
It's really good. We just watched that, and all of the Studio Ghibli stuff, like Spirited Away, she's obsessed with, and Howl's Moving Castle, and all these really dark though too. She's only 3. She's been watching these things for a while, and she kind of likes the dark stuff. Yeah.
Just give her some discernment, It's all, I think you'll do fine.
Yeah. We were having to go in for our preschool interview. And to get into the preschool, because they don't have, we don't have public preschool here. So I was getting very nervous because, you see it on TV, the parents get nervous about if their kid's going to get into the preschool. And right before about the week before, I was, just talking to her about how the interview would go. And she kept saying, well, as long as there's not bad kids or demons, and, I don't like demons and blood. And as long as nobody's she was talking about all this dark stuff, I realized, I've been letting my child watch way too many scary things, and I was going to have to regroup and before this interview. So I didn't let her watch anything but Snoopy for like a week before we went into that interview, because it's disturbing when you hear children. You don't realize that you're, but it's all anime stuff, but it's also very heavy in adult concepts. And I realize now that it's awkward when your 3-year-old's talking about demons and things. It's just awkward.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a little story because my first convention I went to was Horrorama in Toronto.
Oh,
I was invited by one of my guests actually to assist her at her table. And cool. One of the promoters there, Chris Alexander, used to write for Fangoria magazine.
Okay.
He's got two children that are, to me, I get they're bright beyond their years. But I remember attending a screen, like they had a little screening room at the event, and one of the movies that was playing there was called Absurd, which I think is a Joe D'Amato film, which is one of those Italian gore fest, and it's quite graphic. And there was two children sitting near the front, and I was disturbed. They didn't seem to be reacting to it, but I mentioned it to Chris. Gee. If I was to take a guess, less than 10 years old. But I mentioned it to Chris, and Chris goes, it's my kids. He said that they know all about this stuff. And needless to say, they had a table set up downstairs where I guess they knew how to do artwork really well.
Oh, wow.
And they were selling stuff like that. And I was like, okay, these kids have skill. When I was young, I couldn't do a stick figure right.
I know. Same. Still I can't. But yeah, I mean, that is the thing. That there's some very beautiful, that's what my husband keeps talking about. He's like, but these films are beautiful and the concepts are great. And and you know, we're at least training her for complex concepts. And I'm like, okay. It's already got her on all the, you know, Star Wars too as well. And she's into all this stuff. So I
saw the original Star Wars trilogy at the drive-in when I was young.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, fun.
I would have been
at the drive-in.
I saw, like, I would have been 5 years old when the original Star Wars came out, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I grew up with those, so I got a lot of memories. I didn't turn out too bad. I of course was frightened by horror films growing up, but I ended up getting into them. That's a long story, but here I am. But
how did you? What was your first one that got you?
Like, there used to be horror films on every Friday night, and it would frighten the crap out of me. Like Salem's Lot, Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, Horror High, stuff like that. And I was frightened of them. And of course, Friday the 13th Part 2 was no help, because after Mom turned the TV off, they managed to get the video up and going again later on in the day. And of course, I stupidly watched it because I have one. Well, here's the thing. I wanted to see the killer get brought down. And to this day, I'm still a believer in good over evil.
Good.
You know, like, Jesus died on the cross, but Jesus also won when he died, you know. That's my theory. I believe in good over evil. I still do, you know.
Yeah.
So this guy with the sack on his head, I wanted to get his competence. And well, needless to say, the ending left me even more terrified.
Yeah.
And all I kept thinking on the way home was, he's still out there. You know. And I got teased a little bit. I got two brothers, and I had an uncle that used to own a video store, and my older brother would rent all these horror movies, and I would hate it when he put them in, because I was just terrified. And and we got parts 2, 3, and 4 through that store. Part 1, the tape was broke. What had happened was, my brother brought up a good point. He said, Greg, you watch Conan the Barbarian all the time, and there's bloodshed all through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but Jason isn't fighting Conan.
Right.
There's a big difference.
An innocent person. Yeah.
It's a big difference between Conan and Amy Steele.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't think Conan would be running.
Yeah.
He'd be hunting Jason.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, and there was a lot of carnage in Conan the Barbarian, but my brother had a point. So he got me one night when the parents were out. He convinced me to watch Friday the 13th, the final chapter, because he said that Jason dies in this one. And technically he's right. From a technical standpoint, he's right. You know, I watched it a lot like this, but I came away unscathed. And I was like, okay, you got parts 2 and 3 here. Let's give us a little try. Let's try a little more. Let's try a little more. It's funny because of part 4, I've interviewed Ted White, the Jason, in it twice, and he sent me a hockey mask signed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And so I kind of, that was kind of how it opened for me. And so there you go. Like just the other night, I saw Men for the second time, the Alex Garland movie, and I enjoyed that. And that's a horror thriller. So, yeah.
Men?
Yeah. It's Alex Garland directed Annihilation and Ex Machina. So it's really twisted like that.
Ooh, I've got it here too. Thank you. I'm getting some good stuff on my watch list for.
Yeah. So I went to that for a second time because it was just the imagery in it. I was like, I got to see this again, you know? And cool. Yeah. And so, there's horror films today I don't need. Like, I'm not big on the torture porn thing, you know? Yeah. Like, it's again, you know, I like the first Saw, but it's kind of like it got a little redundant. I don't need to be pushed to see how far I can go before I puke.
Right.
Or the Hostel movies. And
right.
I've interviewed Ashley Williams from Human Centipede because I met her at Horrorama, but to this day, I've never seen it.
I haven't either.
I just have no desire.
The thought alone, it already freaks me out. I can't do it.
But because I met her at Horrorama, I had to interview her, and I did. And it's funny because I went to meet her because when I showed up there, I was like, holy cow, she's stunning. I gotta go meet her.
Nice.
But so anyway, she was in a movie called Julia, which was also graphic, but it was I thought it had better themes behind it than Human Centipede. So but anyway, you know, getting back to Friday the 13th, though, you end up in a compromised position inside a sleeping bag. Talk about doing that and the makeup process and the fact you're getting so steamed in there.
I was flown in. I was on another film finishing Bitch Slap. So I was flown directly from that set to the campsite in Austin, outside of Austin, Texas. It didn't even get to sleep in the hotel. I mean, I went right to set, put the stuff down. I don't even remember going back to the hotel for like 2 nights or something because they were rushing to fight to get these last scenes, and you only have a certain amount of you know, darkness at night to shoot. So when I got there, I remember it was just rush. We did. The rest of the crew already had been together for about 2 weeks, and they've been hanging out and they've been getting to know each other, and they were all like fast. They were good friends, and I was sort of this new kid, like stuck in there, like catching up on everything and kind of fitting myself in. And I just remember at some point after we'd shot a lot of the dialogue and a lot of the more, you know, alive, fun scenes, they said we have a very limited time at this location to get the, you know, the tent scene where I get abducted. And they had set up the campsite. They started to talk about how the scene was going to look, and then I just heard a lot of yelling and saying, like, the sun is coming. Basically, the sun's coming. They're losing this location. We have to do this scene in one take because there's not enough time to set up this tent again. And Derek, who's playing Jason, is using a real machete. He's got to cut through that tent and not cut you somehow, but you have to be far enough back for him to grab you, because they didn't want Jason to come in and look small. And so they needed him to still be like imposing and like grab me from. So they said, you know, and then Derek, being a professional stunt person and actor, was just like, I'm not going to do this without a rehearsal. This is not safe. And they're like, we don't have time for the rehearsal. And you know, everybody's just sort of like yelling at each other, just go. And I just remember like just being tired and just, let's just get it done. We'll get it done, Derek. And he's like, how are we going to do this? I don't know where you're going to be. And I'm like, cut you with the machete. And I said, you know, I don't know, we'll think of something. He's like, I got it. We'll do the choreography. We'll think of these counts here, and we'll go this many counts. You'll be forward, and then you'll count to, you know, 6, and then you'll move back. Then you'll move forward. And we had this choreography. Then I'll slice it, so you'll be out of the way, but then you'll have to move back again. So we had this whole dance figured out in our head about how I was going to move forward, how many counts, blah, blah, blah. And like, I just hear, you know, we gotta go, yell. And then so the director, Marcus, he says, okay, you know, back to ones and you know, camera rolling. And I start counting, and I'm starting to do the choreography in my head. Okay, count. And I'm looking forward. And I realize a few counts in, he hadn't said action. He said camera rolling, and he says action. And then I've lost my count, and I realized, wait, were we supposed to do count from camera or from action? Oh my God, I have no idea. And then I didn't know where I was in it, and I knew a machete was coming at me, and I didn't know where I wasn't in the right place in the tent. So I just hear, and I just start flipping out. And so all of it is actually not acting. All that fear on my face is me being utterly confused, trying to know where I'm supposed to be and not die from the machete, and also get this take done because we don't have another chance. And somehow, by the magic of, you know, the theater gods, came and blessed us at that moment, and somehow it worked, and he grabbed me at the perfect time. We did it in one take. And I just remember Derek is a huge man. He just like scooped me up so quickly, and I just remember being in his arms, and he's like, they said cut, and he sort of dropped me, and he's like, are you okay, did I get you? You know, I'm like, no. And I'm like counting fingers and toes. I'm like, I think I'm fine, we did it. And then like everybody erupted and joy, like, we got the shot. So it was like really great. And I think we had I don't even remember if I'd already shot the fire scene, or if that was another location. I don't remember. I think we might have already shot that. So when I was such a blur. I remember that there was a stunt woman who was in the sleeping bag, and I don't know, I actually haven't been able to fact check this yet, but my tired memory, someone said, we need you to get to do more of the getting the shot in the bag than we were able to get with the stunt woman, because she is in the hospital. And I thought they said that it's because she's in hypothermia. And this, honestly, I make things up, but I really think this is what was happening. There was something to do with the fire retardant or something that she had on her that put her in some weird state. She had to go to the hospital, or there was some issue. And so I had to step in and do something that, I did have to fall out of the bag a lot, but I just remember being told that, and like, is this okay? Am I going to know what I'm supposed to do? And I remember they put me fire retardant, and they lit the fires all around. And thankfully I wasn't in the bag while it was on fire or anything, thank God. But I was a little scared that I was going to be asked to be doing these things. I'm like, what are you asking me to do? But what I did end up doing, the part that is me, is I'm in the bag. I am screaming a lot. It's not necessarily on fire then, but then they light the fire around, and I fall out. So I do fall, and I fell for hours and hours out of this bag. Then I do have the back pain to prove that. But what was really cool, that is sort of does not have enough screen time, is that there were about 3 layers of my anatomy, basically in prosthetics, put on me by a bunch of people for hours and hours and hours, like all over my body. Such beautiful work. And the idea that they had talked about was when I would fall out, Amanda Rigetti, like Whitney, would come in and try to help me by, she would grab me, just layer upon layer of my skin would come off, like my rotisserie skin would come off in her hand as she would. And we did do takes like that, which were really cool, like pieces of just coming off of me. Really cool to watch, the artists, the visual effects artists, the makeup artists do this. And also, if I remember correctly, it's been 13 years, by the way, since all this. And so I'm trying to remember all this. And they said that during the screening, when they showed more of that moment, that it was a lot. It was like almost too much, or it was completely too much for a studio horror film. It would have probably made the pass if it had been an indie one, but it was a lot. It was, they said the audiences were sort of losing their lunch watching rotisserie skin come off, but it was cool, and it took just as long to get off as it did put on. I would have these like showers with this whole department of makeup and visual effects trying to get all these layers off of me. So it was a very intimate, long process, and a lot of amazing work that I wish had more camera time. But alas, it's kind of a short moment in the end, and maybe it'll pop up at some point in some other cut down the line. But it was beautiful work, and it's interesting to see that sort of in action, like just how much anatomical knowledge I was getting on each layer. Like, wow, that's what that would look like. It's really cool.
So yeah, what was really that like working with Amanda?
Oh, she's so sweet. Just great, really generous person, lovely person. And in fact, the entire cast were something that was so, it was a uniquely amazing fit of actors who also became friends, and we've all maintained friendships from this. And it doesn't happen always on other films,
Everybody remembers Trent. Everybody remembers Trent. One of my favorite shots in the entire series, actually, if I was to put a top 10 favorite scenes or shots, I love it when Derek Mears as Jason in the Sackhead is just rushing at Amanda, and he's coming at her, and she's going back, and he's coming at her, and he swings, and it cuts to the opening credits.
Yeah,
I thought that was great, and it reminded me why Ted White was so scary in the final chapter, because he was a runner in that, and I always thought Jason was scariest when he was a runner, like with Richard Brooker and Ted White, Yep.
Yeah.
Good point. Because in the final chapter, when he's going after Kimberly Beck, she's got no choice but to go out through this big window on this balcony. It's either go through him or go out through this window, one or the other. And she chances the window. I love that. And he was like scant inches behind her, So, so I like stuff like that. And I get more impressed by those kind of creations,
Yeah. Those really tense moments. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have the box set? Because I do.
I don't have much of anything. I have moved so much. I have things in storage. I don't even know what I have anymore, to be honest. I have so much memorabilia just packed up that someday when I sort of have, more of time and space to organize it all, I'll have a place for it. I figure, by the time my daughter is old enough, she'll maybe appreciate it and know what to do with everything. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll leave her with anime right now.
yeah, leave it at that.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you about some of your other films as well, but before I do that, I wanted to get a little bit of your background, because I understand you well, maybe you still are into singing. You know, you had a group and wanted to get into that a little bit. And if you're still performing musically.
I don't perform musically much anymore. My last music gig that I can think of was, well, actually, played the opera singer in Mission Impossible 5, was it?
Yeah, I think of Rogue One. I love that movie. I
Yeah,
think
fun film.
here's my thing. I think the Mission Impossible movies got better because I was not a fan of the first two Mission Impossible movies.
Oh yeah.
Nope, I thought I didn't really get to like them until the third one.
Huh.
And then after that, I just found they kept getting better for me,
Nice.
you know.
Nice.
And I love Rebecca Ferguson, who's in
Yeah,
those last two,
great.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm starting to really dig this franchise a little bit right now.
Great.
Yeah, I think they're getting more ambitious. The storytelling's getting better. Certainly better than the dreaded second one, which I hated. But you know, once they got Philip Seymour Hoffman playing the villain in the third, and then they kept going on from that, I'm like, okay, now you got my respect a little bit.
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting
Yeah,
to pick up on a franchise halfway through. That's cool.
I've seen them
Yeah.
all in the theater, you know, and I'm a big Brian De Palma fan, but that first one just didn't click with me. The second one I thought was way too stupid. And like I said, it wasn't until the third one that I was like, okay, you know, and then the fourth one got even better and then even better. I'm actually like, here's something I'm really noticing. It's not just Tom Cruise now. Now you got Rebecca Ferguson, you got Simon Pegg, you got Ving Rhames, you got a team here, and it's actually kind of interesting that they all get their moments to shine. Like the last Mission Impossible, there was a scene where Rebecca Ferguson is tied to a chair and being used as bait. And who shows up? Oh, Simon Pegg, Shaun of the Dead. And he's getting his ass kicked. And she has to get untied to save his ass. I'm loving it, you know? Yeah, I'm loving it. I think that was Fallout, but yeah, you got to be an opera singer. How did you get that?
Audition. So my degree is in opera initially. So this came up, and let's see, somebody's calling me. All right, this came up, and I, sent in my audition and had the meeting and got the part. But then I was in London for like 5 weeks or something, shooting it. And just because it's so complicated, it's just one scene. It's so complicated with all of the stunts and how many people there was chorus members and orchestra members, and everybody was they were real musicians. And because we were going to be doing this live, and so it was just so many moving parts and so hard to put together. And so after being there for like 5 weeks, and feeling like I was really a part of this film, I remember like watching the film later when I went to the premiere with my dad. I'm like, it's such a minor moment in like I mean, for what it took to do, it was a bit much bigger undertaking than you realize when you're watching it. But it was really fun to be a part of that show, and I was treated very well, and I enjoyed working on it a lot. And it was just the costume and the set and everything was just awesome. I was dressed all day in this giant gown and a giant tiara that was the same weight as my body, I think, in a giant room, just waiting to enter in, just like a diva. They treated me like a diva. It was great. It was really fun. So that was the last like music thing I did. Before that I did Spider-Man, Turn Off the Dark on Broadway, and just kind of checked my Broadway musical box off and was like, okay, did that, check. And then I haven't really sung since then. And before that I had, my band, if you Googled, I had a girl a cappella group, that we did an album with DreamWorks Records right before the music industry sort of imploded. And we had a sitcom for a split second with UPN, which was a network here that then
didn't get
folded.
picked up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we had the luckiest timing of, I mean, we had the luckiest we had a lot of luck at the worst time. I felt like just everything was always this like, oh my gosh, we got this record deal, and DreamWorks closed their doors for their record label, and oh my gosh, we have this sitcom, and UPN is folded into the CW or whatever it happened. And it's been an interesting journey. So I sort of go where if something calls for music now, I'll do it. Sure, great. But it feels like I kind of did that. I sort of checked the boxes, and now I sing for my daughter before she goes to sleep. And that's how I use my voice.
Well, other ones I want to bring up, Iron Man, you're credited. I got to admit, when I saw Iron Man, I was blown away when Tony Stark goes at the press conference, I'm Iron Man. I was just blown away by that.
Yeah.
It's like, I thought, I didn't see the other Iron Man outside the Avengers movies or whatever that they were in, but that first one I thought was actually a pretty terrific movie.
A really good film. It was such an honor to be part of that too. And that was another wild kind of, I had an audition where I had to come in and they wanted only improv. And so I didn't, because they're all so secretive, I didn't really know what it was for, and nobody knew this movie really, or majority of the people didn't know that this was even being made, or so it was under all this, I wasn't even given a script or anything. I didn't have any sides until you get on set. And so I did the audition, I got the part, and then I started to unfold like what it was. And I got there, and Jon Favreau was like, "Oh, Marika, thank you so much for joining us on set." I was like, okay. It was all like kind of, what am I even doing? And they're like, okay, well, here are the sides. And they gave me the sides, and they had a writer that was working on set gave it to me. And so there's a couple pages of things. So this is what we're going to have. You and Robert are going to be doing the scene. You're going to be his decoy when he tests out his new suit. So he's going to go to sleep with you. He's going to tell Gwyneth Paltrow, Pepper, whatever, that he's gone off with you, and then he's going to test the suit, and he's got a big party to kind of distract everybody. So it was this whole scene, this whole party scene. Ghostface Killer, the performer, was there. He was doing a cameo in the scene. Who else was there? There was Gwyneth's husband was there. What's his name? From was Simon Pegg there too? I think he might have been. Anyway, it was a big, yeah, he was. It was this great scene. There were so many people. I was stuck in the middle of like all these amazing people, and working with Robert Downey. And Robert Downey just like anytime that there was a writer would write something on, and they would hand us the dialogue, we'd be like, okay, got it, go. And then the scene would start, and he just went on something else. And that's when I realized that's why they needed improv actors, because they knew that he was not going to stick to this page at all. Like,
kind of like Bill Murray. He was known for that.
There's not one word. So we just, every time we did it, we just did a different scene. And I don't know how they cut together a film. He's so clever, such a clever guy. But there's some funny stories I just have about that set. It was but just about also being the butt of his jokes too. And it's like, he just pokes fun at everybody, and he's making fun and just constantly laughing the whole time. It was also fun to shoot, and also another one of those things where I showed up and I was like, oh, I'm not in this film. Like, but I worked on this, I swear. But so also really, great luck, and then don't make the final cut. It's all right. It happened. It's like a notorious experience for actors is that you.
And then you're the Frisbee girl in Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
That was just a silly thing. That was totally silly. That was like I had done Friday the 13th, and I was passing through Philadelphia, and I met up with Michael Bay, and while he was shooting that, and he was like, "Let's throw you in the film. It's just for fun, and we'll make it like a cameo." So it was literally like right there. He's like, "Just go in and say something." I was like, "What do you want me to say?" It was like a really weird moment. It's like, "Just yell at him for the thing," and I'm like. He was like, "Do it in an accent." We did it like 3 accents. I'm like, "Why are you trying to make me do accents? I'm terrible at them." He's like, "That is awful. What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't know. What am I doing here?" So yeah, I got one line just for fun. It was just so silly.
You got a couple films I haven't seen that I'm interested to see, and you got to whet my appetite. One is Bitch Slap.
Yeah.
I'm curious about this. Talk about your role and talk about being part of the film.
Oh, Bitch Slap was a lot of fun, and really, really hard, challenging, physically challenging gig. I had just come off of working a short stint on a soap opera. I was on General Hospital, and I was at home like, all right, what's my next gig? And I got a call from the director, and he had seen me in this another like indie horror film called, it was Circle. I don't know, it's changed names a couple times. And he said he was like helping his friend do the edit on it, and said he saw me and he needed to fill this role of Camaro, which is a very specific kind of character. And he thought I would be perfect. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "We're going fast, and it's a very strange script. And I'm going to send you the script, and I need you to read the first like 20 pages. And if you don't get it, then just never call, just tell me no. And then, but if you get it, can you meet me in like Chatsworth later today?" And Chatsworth in our area in Los Angeles is known for being just like a porn capital, to be honest. It's where a lot of the porn gets shot. So I was a little like, and then he sends it over and it's called Bitch Slap. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, here it goes. I guess porn is calling. And I read the first 20 pages, and in 20 pages, I did things that this character was doing things that I would have never imagined I would ever be able to or get to do. Just really fun fight scenes and costumes and trapezes and motorcycles and like it just insane. And I was just so excited. I was so giddy because as a woman, these are things that guys get to do. But as a woman, we never get, you don't often get these things. So I was delighted. And called him and like, oh, squealing with excitement. I'm like, yes, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish these things, but I would love to start trying. And our stunt choreographer and fight choreographer was Zoe Bell, and she
Death Proof worked a lot with Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly. And I knew of her, and I was a fan, and so she was signed on, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna make me not look like an idiot. And sure enough, I mean, she just trained us and got us in, in shape and able to fight in a way that I didn't know I was capable of doing. And it was really fun. Yeah.
Loved her in Death Proof.
Yeah. She's fierce. I love her. But definitely get a chance to watch it. It's super fun. Something we're really proud of.
The other one I want to ask you about is Maniac. Now, I haven't seen this one. I'm a big fan of the William Lustig, Joe Spinell movie from 1980. I've interviewed Caroline Munro, who's a photographer in the original Maniac. And Joe Spinell was a pretty peculiar character, very interesting, went way too young. But recently I've been watching some reviews for this one, and I'm kind of like, I'm very curious because I'm seeing Elijah Wood in a way I'm not seeing him.
Right.
And it doesn't look like your standard Hollywood reboot or remake, so to speak, because a lot of times they do all the wrong things just to capitalize.
Yeah. Right.
This one actually looks like it's pretty darn cool. So
Yeah.
talk about your role in it and your experience.
Another one of those things to be. It was this. My friend was casting it, who had cast. He had already cast me in Friday the 13th, and he's who we called. He's like, we need. I was in Canada at the time. I was actually working on an album recording. I was in the recording studio, and said, we just really think that you'd be right to play Elijah Wood's mom. I was like, what? But as a obviously flashback, so like, that's interesting. So I went in and met with him, and it's one of those roles that's obviously important for the film, and but it's not a lot of screen time. Again, it's not a lot. I am important to the main character, but I have just sort of in and out as far as shooting it, and it when it you know, it was creepy enough. It's actually just a creepy scene. I just don't want to. I don't know if you haven't seen it, but I don't want to talk about it too much. But
I kind of have an idea, because I think it goes a lot of lines. Of course, you don't see the mom in the original, but you know what's going on. Did you see the original?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it was pretty controversial when it came out. Tom Savini did the effects work in it, the makeup effects.
Oh yeah.
He appears on screen and blows his own head off, I guess. He doesn't. The killer comes up on the top of this car and shoots in the windshield. There's head go.
Wow!
Because that's what Tom Savini does.
There you go.
Yeah. The original one was pretty brutal. I really like it. I got it here on Blu-ray, but now I'm kind of curious about the remake, because Elijah Wood, I would never have pictured him in a role like this. Now I'm kind of like, okay, the reviews are fairly good, and when the reviews are fairly good by people I respect, then I'm like, okay, maybe I should give this a chance. You know, it didn't come to our theater, so I would not have gotten to see it there anyway. But it's something that kind of has caught my attention. And you mentioned Circle. What was that?
Oh gosh, and it's so funny. These are all. I had this. I did a lot of horror films in a pocket of my life, and it's really fascinating, and a lot of blood, a lot of being covered in blood, and it's just, I have a blur of some of the indie horror films that I've done of just like barely, you know, kind of half awake and covered in blood and working nights. At some point I was working 2 films at the same time. One of them was, I think we were finishing Circle, and I was working on The Last Resort, and I was so tired I fell asleep driving on the road at 4 in the morning and crashed my car. So I just, a lot of it is very, because it's a lot of night shoots and it's a lot of really long days. So they're kind of horror films to make sometimes as well. They're just as scary in the middle of the night as they are on screen. But Circle, yeah, that was a thriller. It was fun to shoot. And you'd have to, I'm not going to get into the details and the weeds of what it was about right now. It was a pretty solid indie horror film. We shot it in Malibu. Gosh, what year was that? 2006 or 7 maybe? A while ago. I haven't seen it in a while. Yeah, no, I mean, there's about a group of friends and they go stay somewhere, and then there's a killer, you know, it's kind of, but with a twist. There's always a twist in these things. So,
and you have No One Lives. I mean, did no one live in that?
No One Lives. No.
You get cast in a lot of horror films.
No One Lives was a wild experience. That one I remember, we did it in New Orleans with Rio Hey Demora. And he was great. He's a great director, really interesting. That was with Luke Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it? Great. Again, I don't know how much you want to know about it unless you just want to watch it. That was
You know
pretty
what?
interesting.
If I could, I gotta find those on here so I could have you back and talk about them in detail. But
Yeah, because I don't know what what part of it you want to talk about. And
yeah,
some of these
yeah.
I'd actually have to review myself, to be honest. It's been a little while.
Well, some of these I'm quite interested in. Like I was looking you up when I got this interview scheduled, and I was like, okay, this and this I should check out. And of course, where I work at the hospital, I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of stuff. I'm lucky. I was so glad when the call came today and said, I was like, please, not later on today. I want to do this interview.
Yeah.
No, they want me
I'm
for
glad it worked
tomorrow.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, gee, I had Amelia Kincaid on from Night of the Demons a couple of weeks ago, and I ended up rescheduling her like 3 or 4 times, and because I
that
kept getting,
happens.
yeah,
It happens to us too, because we're all like as actors too, we're always on call, and so things can change. So everybody understands it, at least in our industry. So
yeah.
when you're on call, you're on call.
Do you have any charities that you want to plug and promote on here?
Charity that I advocate for, like to raise money for, is a personal something special to my husband and I, is Baby Quest Foundation. It helps people, whether you're a couple or single, who are having trouble starting their family. It gives grants for IVF and any medical procedures that you might need in order to start your family, have a child. So babyquestfoundation.org.
Mm-hmm.
For anyone who would like to donate there, be great.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here's something I throw out to a lot of my guests. I'll throw it out to you because a lot of times I'll make a donation to your charity of choice in return for I do a charity challenge for suicide and depression awareness.
Oh, nice.
And this came up. Of course, the Ice Bucket Challenge was really big. And then sadly, we lost Robin Williams. And I'm pretty aware, especially working at the hospital, the effects of this kind of trauma. But the Doubtfire Face Challenge, it involves you film yourself and you take a pie in the face and you nominate 3 people. And I'm trying to get the industry involved. And I've had a number of my guests do this too. Actually, speaking of Friday the 13th, Nancy McLaughlin from Jason Lives did it right in front of props from the movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Sandy Johnson, who was Judith Myers in Halloween, she did it, and her husband was dressed up as Michael Myers. And he pied her, and she put that on Facebook after lockdown to cheer people up, and the response was overwhelmingly positive, and
great.
So
I love it.
Yeah, and I thought, well, I would make a donation to Baby Quest at babyquest.org in return for a Doubtfire Face challenge. If you're up for something like that.
You'd have to explain it to me. It's just a pie in the face? Is that it?
Yep. Oh. For suicide and depression, you film yourself. For suicide and depression awareness, Doubtfire Face challenge, and you nominate 3 people.
Nominate 3 people. Okay. Yeah. I'll talk to my husband, see if he can film me.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. Does it have to be? Can we do the whipped cream? Or does it?
You don't need to buy a big gourmet pie. A paper plate and whipped cream will do just fine.
It might be a good excuse though to have to get a pie.
Another Friday the 13th person that did it, Law Marie Taylor from Friday the 13th Part 2 did it.
Ooh, okay.
And cool. She said she put sprinkles on hers.
I know it. That's great.
She said it gave her a good opportunity to go on a sugar rush.
Right. That's awesome.
But well, Scotty had said that you're related to Nev Campbell, so I mean, you could nominate her.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That would be fun. Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll see. I'm seeing her next week, so maybe we'll see.
Well, you know what? I was interviewing Sean Clark on here, who books her for the conventions, and I said to him, I said, do you ever? What is it like seeing Nev Campbell's cute nose freckles up close? He says, I see them all the time. But I remember when I interviewed him the second time, I asked him, I said, because he said, she's from Canada, right? And I said, yeah. And he goes, I wonder what part of Canada, And I wasn't quite sure. And he texted her about it, and we're waiting. And but the interview was done. But he texted me and said, yeah, she said Toronto.
It's Guelph, actually. Guelph.
Oh, is
outside
it?
of Toronto. Yeah. But Toronto. Yeah, Toronto.
It could be. Yeah.
Yep.
But she probably doesn't know where I am here either. Nobody knows where New Brunswick is.
No.
Oh, people say where? Oh, jeepers! You never believe the amount of people are like, "There's an hour ahead of us." Somebody from Florida I had on here. It goes, I thought didn't go any further back than us. No, there's us. Nobody knows. No, nobody knows. Jeepers! During the war, World War II, the Jews could have hid here and not be found. Yeah, Nazis would never have found them here.
Yeah, it's good these days with the world so crazy. It's good to know we can hide out somewhere.
Yeah, you could hide here. Nobody knows. Yeah. I'm surprised when I get mail, somebody from across the way doesn't go like, "Where's this?" Yeah, but no, I thought I would throw that out there if you're interested to do it. And
that'll be fun.
And put it up there, and like I said, I'll be happy to do a donation to babyquest.org. I don't have any children. To me, you've got to have a lot of patience for that. I've never wanted kids. I guess I'm not even married because I kind of like I'm kind of one that I just have my own life. I come and go, I got my cat.
Yeah. Cats are great.
Yeah. So there are people out there that do a great job at it, and you got to have a certain amount of patience to do that. I'm just not that guy. I'm just not that guy.
It's good to know.
But I got.
Yep.
Kitty is hid though. Kid.
Oh, I love kitties.
He knows I would stick him on camera here, and yeah. But no, I thought I'd throw that out there. So
yeah, would you send me like an example or what you tag it and all that?
I can do that. So I'll send you links to some of the people that's done it.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
With what the hashtag is and all that, and or
sure.
do you post it on your own? Are you looking for a video to post? Or do you
I put them up on my YouTube, but you could put them up on your thing too, Okay. It's not just exclusive to me. So, okay. I mean, I've got Sandy's, but she also has hers too, so, hers got a lot more views than what it does on mine, but still, it's not important. The fact of the matter is people are seeing it. So, and so we live in a crazy world, and especially with online bullying has gotten worse. We didn't have that when I was young. So
you're right.
I thought I would throw that out, and I've been throwing it out to a number of my guests. And Scotty McCoy had me actually go after people on Cameo about it, and I have a few people in the wrestling community do it.
Good to you. That's awesome. I love it. That's great.
Yeah, so I figured, well, if the Ice Bucket Challenge could do it, and I just lost my dad to ALS, so I get it,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
He battled ALS for over 8 years, and April 5th, he left us, and so
I'm so sorry.
He's not in pain anymore, so he went to be with God. So yeah, but so this one here, I know what it's like to deal with depression. It's not fun. I'm actually coaching alongside an actress right now who's struggling with depression.
Okay.
Yep. And she'll message me or text me whenever she's having some problems, and I'll talk to her or pray for her or whatever, So, and she sent me a message the other day expressing her appreciation for that. So I get this, and depression's not taken seriously enough.
I agree.
Yeah. So I thought I'd throw that out to you and nominate 3 people. And like I said, I just threw a hint there of Neve Campbell if you want people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's beautiful what you're doing. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. And continue watching anime with your daughter.
I will.
Oh man.
I will. She won't. She'll make me.
Well, you know what? I think your daughter's going to turn out fine. A lot of times, I had somebody had told me at the church I grew up in, she said that her kids used to listen to Kiss music and stuff like that. And she said they turned out fine. A lot of times, if kids know that they're loved, and that they don't have to go and do rebellious things, that they know that they've got a good connection with you. I like it. You're getting parenting advice by a single person, but it's just kind of how I see it. A lot of it's in your connection,
And we're all, even if you're not a parent, you were a child, so we know what we wanted and what we needed as children. And yeah, exactly. She's great. She's the most wonderful, awesome child I could ever have.
My cat's a rescue, and I remember when we first got him, he wouldn't so much as purr. Now, like he'll come up and cuddle with me, and he's about 50. I had him about 15 years, so it's like I can tell he's happy,
Yeah, that's so great.
Yeah, he likes to wake me up when I don't need to be up.
They're good at that. That happens every, if for me, I've got my 2 kitties too, and if once my little girl goes to sleep and finally I get her to sleep, then they start coming and they need the attention, and then my little girl will wake up and then she'll get to sleep, and then it's a whole night of just kind of on and off sleeping, trying to manage. So I get it. Those cats, they just know exactly when you're comfortable. Meow.
Does one of them go to you and one of them go to your daughter, and they just
one of them goes to me, and then the other one goes to Christian, my husband, and she's just trying to inch me out so that she thinks she just wants him to herself, and so she's really happy if she'll wake up my daughter, so my daughter wakes up and calls for me, so then I'll go in there, and then my spot in our bed is empty, and then she'll get in there, and then she can sleep with my husband. And so
talk about some diabolical planning.
Oh yeah. Like she's not stupid. She knows how it works.
Does your husband ever roll over and say, "Oh, gee, honey, your hair, your hair"?
Oh, I find them just snuggling and spooning, and I'm like, he's just fine. He's just fine with. I don't think he notices.
Honey, what is that thing flickering? The tail.
Yep, basically.
There you go. Well, Americo, it was wonderful to have you on here. You got a web page you want to plug on here before we close off?
AmericoOlivio.com if anybody wants to go to it, sure.
You sell like autographs and stuff like that on there?
I don't there. And you know what? Thank you for reminding me. I should probably I am just starting to do more conventions again since, COVID and all that. So maybe I'll post where I'll be. And there are some online Streamly. We just did a Friday the 13th panel on Streamly.
Mm-hmm.
And we did online signings on there, which was really fun. So there's like an online shop at streamly.com, Enrico Olivo, I think, that you can go there for autographs. But on my site, maybe I'll just start to update what conventions I'll be at. That's a good idea.
Oh, I love the conventions. I plan to do 2 this fall in Toronto.
Oh, which ones?
Horrorama,
okay.
Horrorama, and I'm going to go to Niagara Falls for Frightmare in the Falls.
Ooh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So I'm looking.
I haven't been to one in Toronto. I should check that out.
Yeah, well, James Ponce is one of the promoters for Frightmare in the Falls.
Okay.
And he's on my Facebook page if you want to message him. James Ponce.
Yeah, tell me that. James Ponce. And what was the other one called? It said Frightmare.
Frightmare in the Falls is the one that James Ponce is one of the promoters for. And the other one is Horrorama, which is downtown Toronto.
Right.
Now you contact Chris Alexander, or Louis Cerez, and Cerez is Ceriz. I think that's how you spell that last name. But he represents Suspect Video. So
great.
Yeah, I got Louis on my friends list. So what's the most interesting thing you've ever been asked to sign? Whether it be a convention or anywhere?
I was asked to sign a man's chest, and he came back a few hours later with it tattooed.
I hear that a lot.
That was interesting. Yeah. Well, then you start to doubt, gosh, I could have done a better signature. Holy crap. What did you do? Yep. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't the only one on his body. I'd lots, but I didn't realize that was going to happen. I guess I should have realized that. Moment. I don't know. I think he might have said it, and then he went off, and I was like, oh, sure, whatever. And then he came. I went, oh, okay, that's wild. That's commitment. It was cool.
Well, Maniac, the original Maniac, Caroline Monroe, I mentioned, she was the first one I think I heard of tell a story of somebody getting their name tattooed on them. I don't have any tattoos, I'm like,
I don't either.
I'm just kind of iffy on that. Some people say it's painful, other people say it's not. I'm like, yeah,
let's not find out.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Well, you know what? Before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hi, it's Enrico Olivo, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert and Python's Paradise.
Boy, I love your name. I love it. I'm glad it's that way. Boy, it just sounds so cool.
Thanks. Thank you.
Wow. You know what? I'm going to be keeping watch on your upcoming projects and whatnot. And then next year, 2023, after I've seen some of these in detail, we can have another discussion.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll review them too, because it's been a while. So yeah.
Well, I only got my television set up to watch my Blu-rays. So a lot of stuff I watch, I have to find usually on YouTube or something like that. So yeah,
got it.
I probably should get Shudder or something like that so I can watch some of the stuff, but yeah. But anyway, it was wonderful having you on here. A special little shout out to Scotty McCoy, who spoke so highly of you. So there you go.
Thanks for the intro, Scotty.
Yes, absolutely. God bless you. Thank you so much for the honor.
Too. All right. Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.